I'm going to show you how to easily create very stylized metahumans with the help of AI. It's not free, but it will be simple. There's a lot of steps, so let's get straight into it. First of all, we'll need to generate our character design. So we're going to be using ChatGPT or any AI model of your choice. The important thing here is to get the right prompt. You will want to ensure that your prompt includes keywords like bold and bareheaded, no facial hair, no face coverings, earrings, and things like that. You'll also want to ensure that you add the keywords like 3D Pixar style, and also add some description of how you want your characters to look. Make sure to add keywords like soft, flat, evenly diffused studio lighting, and a plain neutral background to get the best results. So I created a few generations like these, but they look too realistic. I wanted something that looked more stylistic like this one, which would be great for a film. I then used Nano Banana, which is Gemini's AI image model, to refine the image a bit more. So I added things like make the character's expression more neutral, remove his eyebrows, and it created me this. And I'm very impressed with Nano Banana because it's very, very good when it comes to consistency. Like I can play around with the design of his hair, his clothes, I can add his shoes, and the character still looks the same, even in multiple angles. So this is very, very good for just, coming up with character design ideas. Then I went to hitem3d.ai and I wanted to convert my character design into a 3D model. So hitem3d is actually great because it creates the most detailed and high quality looking 3D character from your image. And in order to do this, I had to use the new portrait mode that comes with hitem3d. This gives you great results for like head models. So just check that, upload your character design image that you got from Gemini or ChatGPT, turn on this texture mode. It will use up about 50 credits. Keep in mind that you get 100 free credits when you first start. I've used up all of mine. You can subscribe and it's quite cheap if you want to generate like a few models each month. But for this case, I just wanted to generate one character. So I just created the head and the body. So if you compare our AI image and the one that's generated from hitem, it looks very, very close. Like it's added these scars and things like that, quite detailed. And we want to export this out as a GLB and we'll just click download. Now we'll open up Blender, we'll go to File, Import GLB, and we just want to find that character that we got from hitem3d and we'll just bring it in. So it looks great. Let's change this into textured mode and it looks amazing. So one thing we want to do is we want to export this out as an OBJ. So go to File, Export OBJ, and just give it a name. So leave the rest as default, give it a name. I've already saved one before, and then export as OBJ. One other thing that we need to do is want to export out the textures as well. So go to Shading tab, click on the image, the base color node, and you get this image over here. Then we want to click on the hamburger icon over here, image, save as, and we want to save as a new image in your folder. Now we can't directly use this mesh to create as a metahuman because if we go into edit mode, we can see that there's all these vertices over here. So it's not, it doesn't really conform to metahuman topology. So if we go to the conform, we can't just bring in that model because it won't work. You'll get errors. So we'll need to use this new metahuman conform topology, which is actually created by the original creators of Epic Games. You can find it from fab.com and just search for metahuman confirm topology, and you'll want to download it, which will be an FBX file. So you can use this in Blender and make modifications and bring it back into Unreal Engine with those modifications to create these very stylized looking characters. So just download it and save it somewhere in a shared folder somewhere where you can keep reusing it for many different characters. The mesh itself comes with a head and a body and also eyes and teeth. So if you want to make some changes to that as well, you can go ahead and make changes on those meshes as well. For our case, we want to wrap the head mesh over this AI generated mesh. Now, this is where the paid tool comes in. I mean, you can do it for free by using Blender and, scaling it to sort of match over and then pushing and pulling vertices and using these tools like the snapping tool or shrink wrap modifier to try to get the right wrap, but you might end up with a lot of headaches, like this, for example. You'll need to do a lot of cleanup, which is a bit tedious. So that's the reason why we use this tool called Faceform Wrap, which is an industry standard software for wrapping good topology meshes over these highly detailed sculpt or AI generated meshes. So right click, load save, load geometry, do it 2 times. One we want to create for the good topology mesh that you downloaded from Fab. So load that in. We want the head LOD0.obj. So we're just going to click open on that one. And then it looks like it's missing from the viewport, but you probably have to zoom out a bit and you can see the mesh over there. So let's change the rotation over here to -90. So it's upright. For the second mesh, just click that node there and then select the AI generated mesh that you exported out from Blender. So that OBJ file. And it's a bit heavier file, but it should come through. And there it is. Now we want to move this up so that it lines up with the head. And we also want to scale it up a bit. I've done this before, so I know the scale here is about 2.1 to match the head of the Metahuman one. To navigate around this viewport, you can use this little shortcut over here. Every 3D software has different navigation, so it's quite helpful that they have that there. We'll add 2 load image nodes over here, and we'll just connect them to the nodes like this. And for each of them, we'll just add the image texture. So for the first one, we'll get the Metahuman, that head BC that comes with the downloaded file from Fab. And there's our textured Metahuman head. And for the second load image, we'll bring in that image that we exported out from Blender. So I believe it was this one. We can't really see it because there's too many verts over there. So maybe we can click on load geometry and just turn off wireframe for this mesh. And there we have our texture. Now we simply just line up the head over the top of the Metahuman head. We want to make sure that the eyes are the eyes pretty much line up. Okay, now right click, let's go to alignment, fast wrapping. Let's connect the one load geometry from the first one to this part, this little node over here. Second one to the second connection over there. And then in fast wrapping, we'll just click that and then we'll click compute and we will see the Metahuman mesh wrap over our AI generated mesh. And to be able to see that, we'll add in a brush node and put it onto the first connection over there. Just click that and let's have a look at that in the visual editor. So we can see the result of our wrap looks like this. It doesn't look great. I mean, the eyes still look like humanoid, realistic. And the nose looks flat, which is a bit weird. And that's one of the benefits of a tool like Faceform Wrap. It has tools to help you fix these kinds of issues quite easily without it being tedious. So we're going to use these guiding lines or these guiding curves to determine how the eyes and how the lips and everything should fit along with the AI generated mesh, or should wrap, so should I say, around the AI generated mesh. So over here, I'm adding 2 of these nodes over here called select points with splines. And we'll select the first one. And what we're going to do is we're just going to draw a curve around the eyes. We want to ensure that snap to vertices is selected. Then we click and then we hold shift to create a loop around the eye like this. And then I'm just going to hit enter over here. And then we have our first spline, spline 1. And then I'm just going to go ahead and create the bottom eyelid as well. So I just start and click Alt from that first position, then click Shift, and it's going to drag out, and this pretty much just close the loop over here. So we have spline 2, and then I'm just going to go ahead and click Mirror so that we mirror to the other side. The Metahuman mesh is symmetrical, so it should fit exactly correctly. I also need the top part as well, so I'll select the first spline in that part over there and click Mirror again. So we have our 4 splines. Now we need to ensure that we follow this exact same order when we create the splines for our AI character as well. Ordering is important. You want to start with the top eyelid first, then the bottom eyelid, and then the other side the bottom eyelid, and then the top eyelid. So we now select the other side, the spline node, and then now we just untick this snap to vertices because we don't want to stick to any kind of vertices here. And then we just pretty much just draw our first spline on the top eyelid, and then do the same for the bottom eyelid. And I might just readjust these by just left clicking and dragging and end the loop there. And then do the same for the other side, starting with the bottom eyelid and then the top eyelid, because that's the same order that we created this in. Okay, and then just readjust a few things. Okay, so now we just add another node. So right click, align or selection, and then we'll go point-to-point pairs. This will match up the splines from the Metahuman mesh and the splines from the AI generated mesh. It will automatically just match up those points or those curves together. And then we just add that to the fast wrapping node and then click compute. And now it will try to match the eyes exactly as it is. So that now when we look at it, we don't have those realistic human looking eyes anymore, but we do have the inside of the mouth protruding outwards and the eye, like inside of the eye socket also protruding out. So we need to add this select polygons node to tell the wrap not to include these in our wrap. So we just add this select polygons node and we pretty much connect it to the metahuman mesh. So just put it here, let's move this to the side and move this over here. Connect this load geometry, which is a metahuman mesh, into this. Let's select the faces that we don't want to be included in the wrap. So the insides of the eye sockets. And we also don't want the insides of the mouth as well. So let's go ahead and select those. It's a bit tedious, this part, but to make your life easier, I have included this file over here called eye and mouth. You can use that and click load, and it will automatically select all the parts of the metahuman mesh, like all the insides of the eyes and in the mouth as well, that will not be included in the wrap. So that'll make your life easier. Connect that select polygons node into the fast wrapping, and let's do another compute and see what that looks like. All right, looking so much better. I mean, a little bit of the inside of the mouth and the insides of the ears are also coming out. But we can see that the eye sockets, they're not protruding outwards anymore. We have this bit of the mouth showing out, but that's because it didn't actually take that part into consideration when wrapping because we excluded that. That's okay. We can use, one of these sculpting tools that comes in the brush node to smooth or, relax those bits out and get rid of it. Let's now select this that spline node for the metahuman, and we're just going to add a curve around the ear, like so. Okay, and once you hit the end, make sure that you press enter. And let's hit mirror to reflect the changes on the other side. And what we might do is also do the inside of the ear as well, and mirror that as well. And let's just copy the same on the characters node, the spline node as well. And make sure that you follow the same kind of order as well. So the left ear, right ear, and then the left inner part of the ear, right inner part of the ear. Let's do another fast wrapping and see what the results look like. Let's go straight ahead and look at all the kind of splines that we need. So we want one around the mouth for the lips, the nostrils and the nose, the ears, and also the eyes. So if you have this, like this kind of setup, you'll pretty much have a pretty good wrap, especially for a stylized character. So go ahead and click compute, and the result you should end up with something like this, which looks amazing. Let's also look at transferring textures. So I added this transfer texture node with size 4096 by 4096, connected the fast wrapping node to the second part and the AI generated mesh to the first part, and we can see the result looks like this. So it converted this AI generated image to match this map over here, the metahuman map, the UV map. So that's what it looks like. And we can also add this extrapolate image, which will just extrapolate out all that empty parts of the image. So our image doesn't look amazing. You can see all these little mistakes and bits over here. So I'll show you later how to fix all that. But let's for now save the output image, and let's save it somewhere where you'll remember it. We'll also need to export our wrapped character mesh out of Faceform Wrap. So, for example, right now we can just do some final sculpting cleanup over here. So we can just relax a few parts, move a little few vertices over here and there. And we can right click this brush node once we're done and save output. Oh, okay, we'll see that's grayed out. Well, to fix that, just click this accept button over here once you made all your sculpting changes. Then right click and save output geometry, and we can save it whatever you like. Just remember the name. I'll call it wrapped with my character's name, and then we'll just save as an OBJ file. Now in Unreal Engine, we just drag and drop that OBJ file into our workspace. Leave the defaults. Let's bring in our image that we exported out as well. So that one, and bring it in. We also need to create a new Metahuman character. So right click, Metahuman. Right click, Metahuman character, and just give a name for a character. If you don't see the Metahuman character option, it's probably because you haven't enabled it. Go to Edit, and then Edit plugins, search for Metahuman, and just tick all these ones over here. And then just close it. You might be prompted to restart Unreal Engine. Just go ahead and do that if required. Then we want to double click and open our Metahuman character. And you'll see something like this. Sometimes you might get another prompt to restart. So restart if required. Now let's go to Conform under Head. Click on Conform and then from Template. And then for the mesh, we will choose that wrapped mesh that we got from Faceform Wrap. So I called it Silver Head 1 Wrapped. Let's search for that. Yep, this one. And we'll just hit Conform. If you have eyes or teeth as well that you modified, you can bring that as well. But I don't. I just modify the head, so I'll just bring the head. And that's what it looks like. I know the character looks so scared and worried right now. Don't worry, we'll fix that. It is a stylized character after all. So let's go to the materials and let's fix up the character's materials. That looks way too realistic. We need our stylized character material that we created from our AI material. So let's go enable texture override. Let's click this plus button for base color. Let's choose that texture that we imported. So it's called Silver Wrap Diffuse 1. It's not, oh, underscore. Let's add this one, and there we go. I mean, there's a few texturing mistakes over here and there, so we can go ahead and fix that. Like we can see a bit of the eyeball coming through on the eyelids. So we can use a tool called pixlr.com/express. It's kind of like Photoshop, but it's like AI based. So we just import that image. You can use any kind of AI photo editor if you want, or if you're good at Photoshop or you want to paint your own textures with Blender's texture painter, you can do that as well. But I'm just using an AI tool for this. And on this tool, there's a brush called I think Retouch. Yeah, Retouch. Let's select that, and just pretty much just anywhere where you see these odd looking mistakes, just paint over them, and it'll just clean it up for you. It uses AI to just smooth things out and blend things seamlessly. So just pretty much click around and remove all these little mistakes. Just going to speed this up. Just keep doing that until you end up with an image that looks like this. So we've cleaned up all those little mistakes and just reload that image, and there we go. Now let's work on the body. Let's change the body's shape. I'm just going to change the skin color to match the head. And remove the top as well. Let's add in a hairstyle for the character. Let's change the character's hair color. I mean, these are all just sliders that you can push and pull around in Metahuman Creator. So let's go ahead and create full rig. And then once that's done, we can play around with the facial animation. And we can see that when it blinks or closes its eyes, the eyeball is poking through. That's because this is a stylistic character, and it has very large eyes, which Metahuman wasn't originally designed with the shape keys and things like that to handle. So we can use Blender and a paid add-on called Polyhammer to fix this. I've done this for another character, and it's an amazing tool which can fix it. I might create another tutorial for that later. But for now, let's not focus on that. Let's just play around with the look of the character even more. And finally, let's create assemble to create our final character. So we have the blueprint over here in Unreal Engine. Let's double click it and make further modifications to the character's skin and eyes, because still it looks a little bit realistic and not stylistic enough. So I'm just going to go ahead and select the character's head. And then we have the skeletal mesh over here. Let's just click this to go into it and double click that. And here we can modify the eyes and the skin. So let's find the eye asset and let's click this over here to go straight to it. Let's double click that. And here we need to make our eyes look more stylistic because this eye looks way too realistic. We don't want these veins and these bits coming out. So let's untick this and untick that sclera part. Let's also make the, so we can see that that is looking a bit more stylistic now with the sclera. It's more white rather than those red veins and stuff coming through. We want to make the eyeball, the pupil part a bit bigger as well, the cornea part quite bigger. So let's increase the size of that. Well, that's too big. Let's put 0.22 maybe. And let's also increase the pupil dilation. Let's zoom out a bit and increase the size. And if we look at it now, so save. If we look at it now, that looks good. It looks less scared. So let's copy the same for the other side of the eye as well. So exactly the same things. Untick the sclera colors and increase cornea size and pupil dilation. And we get something that looks like this. A lot more stylistic. Now for the skin, this is optional, but we can modify this to give a more stylistic look. So I might, for example, turn this roughness option and decrease it to make the character's skin look more wet or more sweaty. It's really up to you. And also I might go down, turn on this substrate profile to play around with the subsurface of the character's skin. So just double click into that, and if we increase this mean path distance, that will make the character's skin, that controls how wet or like how translucent the character's skin is. So if we increase it, it makes the character's skin look more like, you know, milk or like jelly. We don't want to go too overboard with this, so keep playing around with the values until you're happy with it. Just want to turn down the wetness of the character, it's looking too sweaty. And yeah, just keep playing around with the settings of your skin until you get it exactly the way you like it. Okay, so once you're happy with that, let's drag the blueprint into our Unreal Engine world. I'm just going to position the view a bit. Let's change the rotation to face us. And there we go. That is a very stylistic looking character that doesn't look like the average Metahuman. This is what I've created before with, like, this is me spending a bit more time and care. And this is the result I got. It looks a lot better than the one I just showed now in the tutorial. But yeah, this is pretty much going to be one of the characters from my new film that I'm making. So if you want to follow along on my journey and see how I create an animated film from scratch using nothing but Unreal Engine and Blender, please go ahead and subscribe to this channel to follow along with my journey. I hope this video has been useful to you, and thanks for watching.